Hello and welcome back to the weekly astrology podcast, where every Thursday we light our candles, we grab our blankets, we get cozy, and talk all things cosmos. I am your host, Sarah Posh, astrologer and coach, and this week's episode brings us to the second week of one of the most magical lunar cycles of the year with this Libra new moon, and our next major planetary player entering into the magic of our Grand Water Trines. If you missed last week's episode, be sure to go back and check it out because we went in deep diving detail all about the element of water and how to really work with and leverage the magic that's unfolding over these last few months of 2025. I'm curious, how is it going? How is it flowing? Have you started to have anything magical happen or flow into your life? I had a really huge start to these Grand Water Trines, and I'm so grateful that I had the awareness of the astrology, or I might have missed the opportunity that unexpectedly found me. I teach yoga here in California, and I have to drive a little ways to get to the studio, and I happened to be in the area like an hour early before class started. And I had this hunch to get online and just check to make sure who was signed up for the class, and just so happens I didn't have anybody sign up for the class. So I was thinking I was just going to go home, get the night off early, but I knew the astrology that we were in, and I didn't want to leave too soon. So instead, I kind of stuck around. I used the extra time to get a car wash, ate some food in a parking lot. It's a luxurious scene I'm setting, I know. And I told myself, okay, class is supposed to start at 6:30. If I check at 6 o'clock, and there's still not anybody signed up, I'll call the studio owner and cancel and call it off for tonight. And 6 o'clock rolled around, I checked the schedule one more time, and what do you know? One person was signed up. They had just signed up at 6 o'clock for a 6:30 yoga class. Thank God I didn't go home, but just so happens it was a name on the schedule I had never seen before. And I was like, oh man, it's a new student. It's not even somebody I know. Oh no, but then I remembered Grand Water Trines. I was like, there is some meeting meant to happen. This is going to be some sort of magic I didn't see coming. I'm going to flow with it. And yes, the outcome is exactly what you're probably expecting. It was the coolest person I've ever met. It was a total soul connection. And I'm so grateful for these Grand Water Trines throwing me off course, giving me something unexpected, and that patience, that trust, that willingness to just be open and see what happens led to somebody who, if nothing else, opened my heart and opened my mind in ways that will stick with me forever. So thank you, Grand Water Trine. Thank you, Mercury, for starting the fun. I'm so excited to see what Mars brings next. If you have any stories, any personal fun little shares, go ahead and leave them in the comments, drop them below. Tell me your rising sign and what is the magic in the making for you. And if you're somebody who's feeling a little lost or like you could use some extra support to guide you through the magic of this astrological moment, I have limited spots available for booking. You can check out my one-on-one consultation linked below this episode, and know that you don't have to do this alone. Together, we can look at your personal chart and we can really see, where is this magic happening? What planets is it talking to the most? And what is it that you can still do? You still have time to make the most out of this moment. Let's start this episode and start this week. We're going to cannonball into it. We're going to start on Monday, October 27th, when we have the moon in Capricorn and Mars in Scorpio, starting its transit series with a trine to Jupiter in Cancer. What I love, first of all, about the timing of when Mars starts this series is that it's so astrology good. It's the same week as the first quarter waxing moon. This is the phase of the lunar cycle, of every lunar cycle, that's all about trial and error. It's the first part of the lunar cycle where all of the intentions that were seated in the darkness of the new moon first break surface and break light. It's about getting into action, experimenting with something different, getting messy, making a million drafts, not just to get it right, but to figure out what is actually the right thing to pour more of your energy and action into right now. This phase, this week, it is made for Mars, baby, the planet of action. And we're going to talk about how if Mercury's Grand Water Trine was about answering big questions or opening important conversations, introducing new opportunities of exchanges, now we've got Mars in the mix, and Mars is here to bring us some momentum. Mars in Scorpio is naturally dignified. This is one of Mars' home signs or domiciles. And Mars in Scorpio, it's much different than a Mars in Aries. I can tell you, as a personal Mars and Aries native, I've been feeling this Mars in Scorpio, and honestly, kind of jealous because I'm loving it. I went to a Muay Thai class just a few days after Mars had first entered into Scorpio. And in one of the partner drills that the coach had us do, was at the end of like 5 different rounds of drills, the very last round, a 3-minute round, the exercise was for the partner holding pads to push the other person doing the drills as hard as they could, to not stop, to just be in constant motion with any kind of freestyle training. So the goal was to work your partner out to the point where they wanted to give up, they wanted to stop. And let me tell you, my Mars in Aries, it assumed, it expected I would last maybe 1 minute before bending over, hands on knees, needing a break. But I was surprised because Mars in Scorpio, let me tell you, baby, that Mars is just getting started the moment it starts getting hard. There's like this engine revving that happens. I was feeling this energy building as time was passing. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but this is fucking dope. I love this Mars in Scorpio. And even if you're somebody that doesn't have Mars in Scorpio or doesn't even have a really strong relationship with your natal Mars, we all have an opportunity to not only feel into Mars in Scorpio, but to feel into Mars in Scorpio in a moment where Mars is being resourced, supported, and uplifted by these grand water trines. So imagining the potential of personal power and strength that we could feel and gain during this window of time. I was thinking about the image that we use when we talk about Scorpio in astrology as this fixed water sign, the image of a river, maybe even a rapid river for Mars in Scorpio. It's a body of water that is moving extremely fast in a unified, single-focused direction. This image of the river is giving us those archetypal themes associated with Scorpio, the image of perseverance, of endurance, this kind of quiet power and focused concentration. While there might be obstacles, there might be stones or things in the river is not going to stop moving in that same direction. It's simply going to move around the rock or through the bushes. This brings us back to that example from last week around sailing and the need of adaptability and flexibility and resilience to be confident in navigating whatever conditions that present themselves, to know that it doesn't matter if you have to chart a course that you weren't expecting. You're going to weather the conditions and you're going to get to where you're going if you just stay focused on your destination, on your direction, and you stay present and determined moment to moment, almost inviting every obstacle to go ahead and challenge you, because it's not in the way, it is the way. This is feeling like the opportunity to deepen our reservoirs of strength, to develop our confidence in ourselves, to respond to any challenges that we meet, and to stay focused, having that unmovable focus of attention on the direction, the outcome, the desire, the destination that we're going towards. Mars in Scorpio is getting and giving us a boost in personal power. The thing about Mars that I kind of want to name is probably going to happen is that you don't really develop Mars or your relationship to Mars when things are easy. This is likely going to bring you that unexpected opportunity by showing you what you're capable of. Remember, Mars rises to every challenge. Mars is forged through fire. So during this week and these grand water trines, this isn't supposed to be some easy road through for Mars and Scorpio. It's meant to make Mars stronger. It's meant to give Mars access to shift into a new gear that Mars has never even known, or that we have never even tapped into in our potential. So I want you to consider the fact that if something feels really hard, remind yourself, bring back the astrological awareness that this is not just happening to you, it's happening for you. We talked a lot about the grand water trines being very relational in nature. And I feel like with this Mars, this could show up as a really helpful person, either the person that's going to be challenging you, pushing you to prove yourself and to rise to the challenge. The Mars, the antagonist you didn't necessarily sign up for, but that's definitely playing that character role to deliver what it is that will help you. Or it could be a new Mars ally, like a new accountability buddy, that all of a sudden you have somebody to go to the gym who's not just going to go to the gym with you and keep you accountable to making sure that you don't skip leg day. They're also going to push you to do heavier weights. They're going to push you to take less breaks in between sets. So pay attention. How's Mars? Who's Mars this week? And even if you don't like them or you don't like what's happening, can you be grateful anyways? Can you have some piece of you that can hold some sense of trust? And then finally, one more thing about the Mars and Scorpio in these grand water trines. But we talked about the boost of endurance, of strength, of resiliency, and focus. Another Mars gift we might be getting is not only the discernment, the clarity about what's not working, what it is that's feeling like dead weight, anchors to our Mars being able to sail ahead. It's also going to give us the willingness to take action and cut, sever, release what no longer serves us. This could be a brutal sense of asserting boundaries that maybe before you've hesitated a little bit. And now there's no doubt in your mind and no pause waiting for permission. If you're listening to this and you already have that person, that agreement, that thing on your schedule or to-do list that's popping into your mind, you know what it is. And it's already hovering in the background. You already know. You already know what it is that you're going to cut away. Go ahead. You can procrastinate. You can delay it a bit longer. But I really encourage you, don't waste the moment. Use this Mars and Scorpio, these Grand Water Trines, to give you the courage to confront what it is that you need to cut away, to finally sever the toxic attachments, the toxic agreements, the draining to-do lists. This is the moment to shed and compost what no longer serves you so that you can call all of that energy back into creative, constructive, life-giving relationships, agreement, to-do list items on your schedule. And as Mars is just starting to catch this current, we surf into Wednesday, October 29th. Yes, I'm going to be using cheesy water metaphors and sport water metaphors this entire cycle. So put your life jackets on, folks. They aren't going anywhere. All right, back to Wednesday, October 29th. The moon is in Aquarius, and we have Mercury completing its last water trine to Neptune retrograde in Pisces, and then immediately shifting into Sagittarius, and on that same day, opposing Uranus. So now we come back to what we talked about last week, with these oppositions to Uranus giving us this invitation to whatever new opportunities, new introductions, new inspirations washed in and all over the map of our reality, smearing the road system, the pathways of how we get from where we are to the future that we're going. Now Uranus says, all right, it's not only time for a new pen, you got to stop using ink pens. It is 2025, people. You got to start using something that won't smear when water hits it. But also, let's change the map. Let's change the road system. Let's add some shortcuts. Let's make it more fun. And let's get some creative, authentic, exciting Uranus energy into the mix. So tapping into that innovative trickster energy of both Mercury and Uranus on Wednesday, and getting into some experimentation around implementing some much needed changes. What feels like it's causing a shutdown is it actually trying to create a new shortcut. This is a moment where we either feel the liberation of a breakthrough, we let ourselves play with the unknown and reinvent, or we just feel flustered and frustrated because there is just chaos and disruption. Come back to that original invitation from the first Virgo new moon, square Uranus, and let yourself develop new methods in the madness. Create new pathways through the unknown. And at the same time that Mercury Uranus is helping you build that new roadway, Mars is going to be making its second water trine with Saturn in Pisces. This is really beautiful because Mars-Saturn is a depth of endurance and perseverance. There's this magical combination of devotion with Saturn in Pisces and desire, Mars in Scorpio, where passion meets purpose. This is when we become unstoppable. Aligning the highest potential expressions of Saturn in Pisces and Mars in Scorpio is a true gift from the gods. So Wednesday, you need to double down on your purpose. You need to pour every ounce of your energy and willpower into pursuing it with passion. And you need to deepen the devotion to following through on your desires to the point where you cancel out all the noise, all the distraction, all of the self-doubt that previously kept you stuck. And at the same time, as you prove what's truly possible, what you're truly capable of, it might just break your brain in some new or unexpected Mercury-Uranus way. Like when you look in the mirror, you don't even recognize who it is that you're looking at. This is like an out-of-body experience in the best way. It's being so in your body, you had an out-of-mind experience. Your mind has to completely reprogram and reorganize itself to work with this new sense of who you actually are and what you're actually capable of. And think how that's going to help you as you rewrite this map of your reality. this roadway of how you're going to get to your destination. You might eliminate a lot of the stops you thought you were going to have to make before. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited for Wednesday the 29th. This feels like a pretty fierce and fun turning point. And that leads us directly into Thursday, October 30th, where now Mercury is completing its series of transits with that sextile to Pluto in Aquarius. So think back, Mercury made that square to Pluto on October 7th. What was happening? What conversations, confrontations, potentially, or some unexpected information that unsurfaced, some previously hidden truth bombs? How is it reaching some sort of collaborative turn of the corner that has to do with your negotiations, your conversations, or maybe even the questions that you're bringing to your communications? Now, Mercury is shaking hands with Pluto. They're working together, and Pluto is telling Mercury, good job for showing up and confronting, giving yourself permission to change what wasn't working and stop fighting and resisting, because now I'm going to reward you. I'm going to set you up with even more power as you proceed. And then on Sunday, November 2nd, we get a sweet, very helpful Venus in Libra square Jupiter in Cancer. This is one of those special, sweet kisses from the universe. The benefics are both in places that they're highly dignified, highly happy. Jupiter's in a place where he's famous, everybody knows him, and is waiting in line to help him out, be the one that gives him the thing that he needs. Jupiter's like, okay, wait your turn. And Venus in Libra is the host with the most. She's got the social grace that has people lining up around the door, wanting to be her friend or be her boo. They're coming into contact. They're coming into a square. This meeting wasn't necessarily planned. It was kind of unexpected. There might be a little bit of crazy fan noise outside or some sort of chaos because it's too much good in one area, but it's still good. So get into your gratitude, get into your state of generosity, of appreciation, into your connections that have mutual reciprocity, and amplify your resonance with even greater good that these benefics want to bless you with. Saturday is a perfect moment to allow ourselves to give life a chance to give us a break, to give us a rest, to have some big self-care, some heart-to-heart hugs and soul-to-soul conversations. If you need help, ask. If you're going through something, reach out, resource your people. Venus square Jupiter can be a really healing, beautiful time for us to reconnect and rekindle the part of us that remembers that we're never in this alone, that we have each other. And maybe if you're the one that reaches out, you're vulnerable first with that Jupiter in Cancer, it might just set you up in a way that you weren't even expecting. So on Saturday, be brave enough to be vulnerable, be strong enough to stay gentle. This energy is soft and tender. It's sweet and sensitive, and it's another one of those, not just being in the right place at the right time, but being with the right people at the right place at the right time. That brings us into the final transits before that full moon in Taurus. We have Mars in Scorpio swimming its final lap with that trine to Neptune in Pisces. And then on Tuesday, Mars is going to jump out of the water into Sagittarius and immediately make that revolutionary opposition to Uranus and Gemini. This is quite the fireworks show right before that Taurus full moon, and the moon is waxing and bright, illuminating all of the night sky for us to see what Mars and Uranus are going to shake up or potentially break down and break through. On Monday, Mars, Neptune, this is more of a flow state day. This is more about more being, less doing, more resting, less pushing ahead. There's some sort of magic or flow state that Mars, Neptune can help us tap into, where we might get so much more done. Again, remember that Neptune dissolves those boundaries of time and space. So when Mars and Neptune come in this supportive trine aspect like this, it's like leveraging the magic of that flow state, getting ourselves into the energy of inspiration and creativity and following our impulses, our intuition, and not necessarily sticking to a structured plan or to-do list or schedule, but leaving space in our day, leaving space in our schedule and our time and our plans for us to flow through, to follow those creative impulses, to act on those intuitive hits, to take an unexpected turn that just so happens to land you to exactly where you needed to go, but getting you there in a way that you didn't even know was available. Like there was a road open that entire time and you had no idea. But Neptune's going to show you a secret doorway, a secret pathway. You have to get into that state of receptivity, though, to make the most of that Mars trine Neptune magic. It's almost like we kind of rest or let ourselves float, let the water of Neptune and this trine carry Mars out of Scorpio. And then Mars lands in Sagittarius, dries off very quickly, and decides, all right, this is what needs to change, and starts getting loud and proud into some liberating new ways of taking action. Make sure to check your impulses and check your sense of urgency or excitement. A Mars opposite Uranus, if not tempered, could burn down a bridge in a moment and not have an access point home. It's stuck on an island all alone forever and ever and ever. So don't be afraid to challenge previous limitations or old, outdated traditions. Just be mindful of any potential long-term consequences of the actions you're fired up and ready to take in the moment. And what an exciting way to end this week's astrology and lead us into that Taurus full moon. It's anything but boring, and you don't hear us say that too often. Don't get too comfortable. In our horoscope episode next week, I'm going to tell you all about this Taurus full moon and how it's impacting you based off of your rising sign. So go ahead and make sure, if you haven't already, like this video, share this video with your friends, and also subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on. That way you're never going to miss any of these new episodes that are released, including our focus topic that's going to be coming out this upcoming Monday, October 27th, where I'm going to dive into the details of that series of conjunctions that I mentioned a few weeks ago between Mercury and Mars. It started with the Mercury-Mars conjunction in Scorpio just before our Libra new moon, and it's going to last all the way through April 2026. So we'll go into all of those details in that focus topic episode. So be sure to come back on Monday and check that out. And don't forget to check the description below this episode, where you can find access to all of my different offerings. Thank you all so much for being here today, for getting cozy and talking cosmos. I am Sarah Posh, and I will see you next week.